This is John Reeves, the #1 selling agent in San Diego. Welcome to the Craig Proctor Podcast.
Let's go!
Hey everybody, this is Blake Cory with Craig Proctor Seminars. And today I have a very, very special guest, a guy near and dear to my heart. #1 real estate agent in the entire county of San Diego, Mr. John Reeves. Hey, John, what's going on, man?
It's going well, Blake. Thanks for having me as always, man.
Yeah, dude. I love it because for our listeners aren't going to know this, but John is actually one of my mentors. You are actually the first person I ever even told that I was, just had got engaged when I got engaged to my wife. So you guys are in for a privilege because you're going to hear an amazing story about an amazing human being. But before we get going, tell all our listeners right now, like, what is, you're the #1 agent in San Diego County. So what does your business actually look like? Because we got a lot of agents now listening to this and watching this. They're wondering, like, what does a super successful business like yours look like?
Well, first thing I'll say is thank you very much for the acknowledgement. I am #1 only because of the team around me and the leadership and the people. So it's not just about me, and it's really about the people that we serve. So I'm very blessed in that manner, and I do appreciate the acknowledgement. So my business runs as a business. I am the CEO. I don't go on appointments. I am in charge with casting vision, solving complex problems, building critical, key, large relationships. And then, of course, I oversee and I'm heavily involved in training of the sales force. So really, that's it. That's the main things that I'm looking at on a daily basis.
Dude, that's it. That's it. That's a lot of stuff, dude. That's a ton of stuff that you do. Some really high level stuff to make your team the #1 team in San Diego County, dude. That's a huge load.
Well, it is a lot, and it just has to be broken down into segments. I have one day for each one of those I just mentioned. One day is marketing. One day is training. It's just spread it out, easy, eatable chunks, and it works.
Dude, it's been so awesome to watch your journey. Because what did we meet? About like 3 years ago?
2016.
2016. I think here in Anaheim, California. And if our listeners aren't aware, John and I are sitting here in Anaheim right now, right outside the Craig Proctor Super Conference, exactly where we met a few years ago. And now to just watch where everything that has happened with you has been just absolutely amazing. So, hey, do me a favor. Obviously, you didn't go from zero to hero overnight, man. There was a process there. It was how long have you been mentored by top real estate agents? Craig Proctor, Todd Walters. How long have you been in this type of mentorship program?
So that's a good question. The first thing I'll say is when I got into the program, I was brand new to real estate. I was a Marine, got out of the Marine Corps in 2010. And
thank you for your service, by the way.
Thank you for your tax dollars.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I got out of the Marine Corps and I wanted to go into the real estate industry. So I researched, while I was in Afghanistan, I researched the best real estate trainers, coaches, mentors, because I know the value of having a coach who's gone before you and knows exactly what lies ahead.
So you're in Afghanistan. So let's paint this picture. You're in Afghanistan, away from you. Are you married at the time, or I
am?
So you're married at the time. Any kids?
One on the way. Wife is pregnant.
So you're in a war zone. Your wife's back home, pregnant, and you're looking at, like, what am I going to do next after the military? Why real estate of all things?
Well, interestingly enough, real estate is a venue for me to change lives, to help and to serve others. And that's always been extremely important to me. And it stems from the way I grew up. I grew up in a small town in Texas, and my father decided he didn't want to be a dad and a husband anymore when I was 4 years old. So he walked out of our life at a very, very young age, and I watched my mom raise my brother and I, just the three of us. And it was very, very tough upbringing. We frequently had the gas shut off, the water shut off, our power. We hand washed our clothes. We hung them out on a clothesline. My mom ripped up all the carpet in our house. We lived on concrete floors because we couldn't afford the air conditioner. And in Texas, it's hot. So we lived a very meager existence. My mom and I and my brother picked up aluminum cans on the side of the road and at the fairgrounds after the county fair to recycle and make money. My mom was a freelance writer, and she worked her tail off to make sure that her two boys had the basic necessities. One of the most memorable things that ever happened in my life was Christmas Eve, 1986. 3 days before Christmas Eve, my mom had to sit my brother and I down and tell us we are not having Christmas this year, and there is no Santa Claus because I cannot afford to buy gifts. I have to either keep the lights on and keep food on the table or buy gifts. And I'll never forget that day because it was realizing, wow, Santa Claus isn't real and I'm having no Christmas. And to an 8-year-old boy, it's kind of a big deal.
So you're 8 years old at the time, Christmas Eve.
That's 3 days before Christmas Eve.
3 days before Christmas Eve. And it's like the fantasy of being a child, you know what I mean? The imagination is just crushed because of your mom's current financial situation and everything she's going through.
Yes.
That had to be, obviously you bring it up, we all have stories, but that's got to be that imprint on your mind, on your soul, that it's just like, whoa, dude, that was the day. Like I woke, I all of a sudden had to become an adult. Like my childhood was changing dramatically at that point in time.
It was definitely memorable. It was powerful. Yeah. It was a stamp. So 3 days later, on Christmas Eve, we were out running an errand, and we came back from running an errand to our house, and we were going in the garage, and on the garage door, somebody had put an envelope. And inside the envelope, there was a blue card with a white dove on it, and it said love. On the inside, there was $20, and it said from a friend. So someone had anonymously seen our situation, wanted no credit, wanted no thanks, wanted no accolades, and they'd given us $20. And in the 1980s, that was a little bit more than it is now.
Yeah.
But as a result, my mom was able to eke out Christmas, and I don't know how she made that $20 go as far as she did, but she eked out a Christmas for my brother and I.
Wow, what an awesome story.
I'll never forget it, Blake, because in one instant, I made an incredible realization that the acts of one person can change someone's life in that moment immediately. Because as a result of one person's kindness, 2 kids who did not have a Christmas previously were able to have one. It's one of the most magical, beautiful moments of my life. And it was a paradigm shift that literally made me realize the power of helping and serving others. And ever since then, that's been one of my most joyful and fulfilling things to do, is to help others, to help people.
You have been, since I've known you for 4 years and still continue to be this day, not only one of the most inspirational and motivational people that I know, that if I need a good swift kick in the ass, there's no one else that I would call other than John Reeves. But I mean, the way you look at life and the way you talk to others about life is like something I've never seen. I mean, I can literally sit and listen to your stories for days on end, and I'll never forget. I'm not a person who tears up. In my family, I've always had to be that rock, that person that has to put everything on their back and keep the family moving forward. But I'll never forget when I first heard your story of your upbringing about your mom, and it was at a Craig Proctor Platinum Conference, and you're up on stage talking about it. And I just met my wife, or we just got engaged or married, I think it was. I think it was engaged. She's here at the conference with me. We're sitting down, we're listening to you, and we look at each other, and it was the first moment ever that we were both crying at the same time. Even when we got engaged, we both weren't crying at the same time.
Yes.
Okay. But that moment was the first time ever that we were crying simultaneously, listening to your story, crying because it was such a powerful and moving story. And I would assume because of that, that's also what makes you a very good visionary and a very good leader for your people, because they buy in to what you're telling them, and they want to be part of such an inspirational story and working with such a great and amazing human being.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And yes, I believe that. I've been through some things in my life that they were what they were, but they made me who I am. And I use them every day as an enormously good example of This is what I learned from that. These were the gifts that made me who I am.
So we go from that, we fast forward now, was it right out of high school you joined the military?
Yes. So my mother was also the daughter of an alcoholic father. Her dad fought in World War II, landed on the shores of Normandy, liberated Europe. And as a result, he also liberated concentration camps in Germany. When he came home from the war, he had severe post-traumatic stress. He drank a quart of whiskey every night.
Wow.
And as a result, he was severely alcoholic, and my mom suffered from alcoholism as well. So her whole life, it was something she fought. She wasn't the greatest parent when it came to study skills and teaching us responsibility of school.
Yeah.
And, she was great in many other areas, but that wasn't one of them. So as a result, I didn't have the great academic background. Even though I was intelligent, I didn't have the academics to go to college. So I made a decision that I was going to do something greater, daring, challenging, of course. And I joined the Marine Corps.
Always. If John Reeves is going to do anything, it's going to be daring and it's going to be challenging.
So I joined the Marine Corps right out of high school.
Yeah.
I left a couple of weeks after graduation. And in the Marine Corps, many lessons. My first real male role models were in the Marines. I didn't grow up with a father. And then went to the U.S. Naval Academy. I applied to go to college. Came back to San Diego. And I did my time in the Marine Corps. And I enjoyed it, loved serving our country. I love America more than anything in this world.
Yep.
It is an amazing place, and we are blessed to have it. While I was in the Marine Corps, I decided I'm going to start investing in real estate. I read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad when I was in the Iraq War. I came back from the Iraq War, and I started investing in real estate. And I utilized an agent who I thought would take care of me, protect me, and help. And the absolute opposite of what I expected. And I learned an important lesson. If I'm going to do this and keep investing in real estate, I'm just going to get my license myself and represent me. I think I can do it better.
Yeah, not a bad idea. Not a bad idea.
And had success doing that. And people would come to me in the Marine Corps, hey, John, can you help me find a home? Can you help me? And that's where it all began. So 2011 is after helping one person, you do it really well, then it becomes two. And then you help those two and it becomes four. And then it goes to eight.
Compound effect.
Pretty soon you have too much to do and too many people to help, and there's only one of you. So I chose real estate specifically because of the negative experiences I had, and I didn't want a military veteran to ever go through that again.
So you were on a mission to change the outcome for other military families through the home buying process.
Yes.
You wanted to change that outcome, make sure it was an awesome experience for them, and they were getting exactly what they deserved after defending this amazing country.
Absolutely.
Yeah, gotcha.
So
you got your license, and then you got all this overflow. But like, how did you end up being at a Craig Proctor conference of all places?
As I said, I was in Afghanistan researching the best real estate trainers, coaches, mentors. And out of all the ones that I researched, and I did a lot, Craig Proctor was the only one who for years, 25 years plus, was an active real estate team leader and agent. So being a Marine, I believe in leading from the front. You lead from the front, follow me type of leadership. And I believe that was correct. Most of these other coaches, they never even sold real estate. They may have done it a year, or they've never done what Craig did. So that was the one I signed up for. And I went to the half day first. And then I went to May 2011. I went to the super conference. And I had just gotten out of the Marine Corps and just started in real estate. And it was eye-opening. I was on a budget. I had just gotten out, so I wasn't making money. My wife was working. We just had a new baby. And I remember in Orlando, I got a hotel that was off-site of where the actual conference was. And I always say it was the Motel 4 because it wasn't even a Motel 6 yet. It was the Motel 4.
Motel 4. You got to love those, man. Got to love those.
And it was about a mile away. And I bought bread and ham to eat and bring in as food because I wanted to keep my budget as low as humanly possible. And I walked a mile or so in the morning to get there, and a mile or so to get back. And I took notes. I took 3 notebooks full of notes while I was sitting there. I signed up the first day we could. I said, I'm in. Let's go. And I remember seeing the people up on stage and, wow, 20 homes in a year, 50 homes in a year. And I was like, I can do that. No, I will do that.
Yeah, you will. It's not a wish. It's a commitment to excellence.
Absolute certainty that I would. And I executed from there. The first year, I sold 7 homes in 2011. The next year, 29 homes.
Wow, that's
Then
a big
it went
increase.
to 53. And the next year, 2014, went to 83. 2015, 131. 2016, 227. 2017, 327. 2018, 367. And this year, we'll close out 420, 430.
So 2011, 7 homes.
Yes.
And in 2000, what was that? You said 2014 or 2015, you broke 100 homes.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like, I think you
Between 14 and 15.
Between 14 and 15. Well, so we'll call it 14. So in 3 years, you went from 7 homes to selling over 100 homes, making over $1 million in commissions.
Yes.
Dude, you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You know how many people out there listening to this right now, watching this right now, and they're like, I've been in real estate 20 years and I can barely break $100,000 a year, let alone $1 million. What, did you just always know that you were going to be great? You were going to make over $1 million selling real estate? Or were you just trying to get just to that next step of financial security for your family?
So interesting. 2 things. I never focused on the money. I never wanted to say I want to make $1 million. I always focused on helping others. And as a result of serving and adding value to others' lives, money just returned to me from the universe. So it just came in. So I remember hitting those waypoints of 500,000 and $1 million in income. I mean, it was obviously incredible. But it was always about the people first. But when I hit that $1 million mark, I do remember we looked at it, I'm like, oh, I made $1 million this year.
Whoa.
It was very powerful because I grew up in fear. Why? Because I grew up in poverty. And my first 3 years in real estate were out of fear. I never wanted to go back to the way I grew up. And so I did things a lot differently. I was in scarcity. I was always afraid. And I was fearful. I didn't ever want to have to go back to what I came from.
Yeah.
And when I hit that $1 million mark, it just shifted into, I'm never going back there. And I just made $1 million this year. And I helped a lot of people. I changed a lot of lives. And it just completely turned a different switch in me. And from then on out, it's just continued to grow and to build and to expand. Now, the biggest takeaway on this, Blake, is I didn't do anything innovative. I didn't do anything crazy. I literally took a system that's been there for 20 years, step by step followed it, copied what I was told to copy, said what I was told to say with the scripts, ran the ads I was coached to run because they're all there.
Yep.
I followed the system to the T, and it worked.
This episode of the Craig Proctor podcast is brought to you by Salisbury Media Group, the leading real estate virtual tour and photography company in the Greater Toronto Area. We have an exclusive offer just for you, Craig Proctor podcast listeners. Use promo code CPP when booking and receive 10% off your first shoot. You can learn more about this offer and check out our work at salisburymedia.ca. Now back to the Craig Proctor podcast.
You are a student and a follower of Tony Robbins, just like myself, and I know most of our listeners are or know who Tony Robbins is. And I always love this saying because it makes me think of our experience in real estate, how to go from you selling 7 homes, me my first year, it was somewhere around that number, to selling hundreds and hundreds of homes. It's to stand on the shoulders of giants. If you want to get somewhere, go find the people who have already walked the path so you can learn from them. And that's exactly what we did. We found that person who'd walked the path. And isn't it funny now? You crack that code, you get that algorithm on how to sell, how to make $1 million in real estate and commission-wise, sell hundreds of homes. And you almost think back, it's like, we would have to work really hard not to sell hundreds of homes a year. I mean, it would be an effort to go backwards. I mean, you almost, you're looking around, you're like, God, I can't even imagine what it would take to go backwards because you just naturally progress forwards every year.
What else is funny, Blake, is remember the things that bothered us in the first 2 years are now like not even, I mean, it's like I could move that with my pinky.
Yes.
It's not even, I can't believe I ever worried about the things I worried about in year 1 and 2. It's just completely different. And it's great because this business grows us as people, men, as leaders. It's tremendously focused on growing us. So you have to become a different person to sell 200 homes than you do for 100.
Absolutely. Especially when it comes to leadership. And we know you're great about that. I had a previous guest on the show, Nathan Clark, friend of yours. Yeah. And we were talking about, I asked him, what was the experience like for you the first time one of your sales agents, one of your team members made 6 figures net take home? Because I know from where you come from, your upbringing, just like mine, the thought process of us even making $100,000, like, whoa, that's a ton of money, 100,000, ton of money. And now it's not, we're making 100,000. We're helping others inside of our organization make that. How did that make you feel the first time that happened?
Incredibly fulfilled. There are agents who came to my team who were on their last leg. They were behind on car payments. They were behind on rent. They had $36 in their checking account. They had not closed a home in a year. And some of those agents now are well into the 6 figures. And it's so fulfilling to watch other people grow and to see where they came from and to know that you had a part of it. Yeah, they did the work, but you were able to be there as a leader and help them through. There's nothing more fulfilling.
Yeah, and you've always said you do this to help other people, and it's an awesome story.
So, Blake, the other thing I think that's important is, as our mindset, you know what it's like to run an organization now, just like I do. There are days that don't always go our way.
No, there's quite a few days that way.
One of the things that has always helped me is in my home office, I have a book that the agents all put together for me about how I changed their lives. There's about 30 pages in there with their pictures of how I impacted their lives. That's in my home office. And in my office, every month we write down every single person's life that we changed through a transaction that's on the wall. So in the office, I get something that comes in that's just not what I was really wanting to have in that moment. And I just walk out to that wall and I touch it and I look at it and it just snaps me back into, you know what? I'm changing lives.
Yeah.
Same thing at home. If I come in, anything negative comes in, I'll go down to my home office and I'll open that book. I'll just read 2 or 3 pages now and it's done. It's gone.
It sounds like your thermostat, man. We talk about the emotional IQ of a leader. You know, as a leader, you can't be the thermometer. You got to be the thermostat controlling the emotional temperature inside of your organization and for yourself as well, because you can't lead others if your emotions are all over the place. So even when days are going bad, like you've got to put yourself back into check and realize the bigger picture of why you're doing it. Yeah.
Well, Blake, it's funny because it's in all aspects of our lives. I know before I walk into the office, just like you do, I've got to come in a peak state, motivated, inspiring, optimistic. Nothing's going to step in my way. So I have a morning routine that backs that up. Then same thing when I go home, just like you, both parents here. When I go home, before I come into that house, I'll shut the truck down, maybe a couple of houses down from mine. I will put on some music. I will clear my mind, center myself. I will get excited, get ready to go, shake off whatever happened at work. Because when I break into that door at home, that's the first time the kids are going to see me today and outside of the morning.
Yeah.
It's the first time, and my wife. So I know my number one job in that home is husband, father, and hero. When I break that door, it can't show up negative. You only show up with love, with passion, with happiness, playfulness, and responsibility and leadership.
And you got a few of them at home. How many kids you got now?
4. So you joked with me one time. You said, "John, I know why you sell so many homes. You got 4 kids to put through college."
Yeah, no kidding, man. You got a tribe at home.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's awesome.
Yes.
So I mean, I love when we get together and talk, because you just inspire not only me. I know so many people that you touch their lives, but you inspire us to be better. You inspire me to be a better husband, better father, a better leader. You are just that epitome of inspiration. And that's why I wanted to have you on this cast today, just so everyone now throughout the nation can hear you. I mean, that's just a fantastic story. So connecting back to real estate, do me a favor. You know, a lot of our listeners here, they're selling between 8 and 12 homes, maybe 15 homes, and they're struggling right now. You know, they're thinking about, damn, how am I gonna make the next check? Like, where am I gonna make the next check from? How am I gonna pay the next set of bills? Because, you know, I've been there, and I'm sure you have.
Course.
Holiday season's coming up. You're stressed because not only do you have to pay the normal bills, but then you're trying to put Christmas together, just like what happened to you when you were a kid. And you're just like, how am I going to do this? But I heard you earlier today talk about the story of what you did when leaving a conference, the things that you implemented that helped create some business. Would you mind sharing with our listeners today, maybe 2 or 3, if you got it, nuggets that they can take away to say, I can go do this real quick. I can look at this now, or I can add this marketing piece that can help them generate some calls from buyers and sellers?
I think the number one thing that I learned when I came out of the conference, because I didn't have a lot of money for ads and budget, I was eating ham and white bread.
Yeah, ham and white
at
bread.
the Motel 4. So I had to figure out ways to get business very, very cost effectively. So the first thing I realized is the power of making offers, which Craig preaches. Make offers. When you make offers, people say yes. Everyone can set up an MLS search. Everyone can do a really good job. Everyone can be really honest. That's the expectation, kind of the bare minimum. You have to make a compelling offer for people to say, yes, I want to meet. And that was the number one thing because it's free. And I just mastered making offers.
Well, can you give an example to all of our listeners out there? What do you mean by offer? Like, because they're thinking offer. Yeah, I'd love to write an offer, John. I'd love to help somebody buy or sell a house and make that offer. But you and I are marketers. Talk to our listeners. What is an offer?
So an offer is, for example, what do buyers really want? They want homes.
Yeah.
They do not want an agent. They don't want anything.
Definitely don't want an agent.
But a home. So I had to be the guy who could give them an offer that would give them what they wanted that they couldn't get now. So I found ways to get properties that they weren't seeing and they didn't know about. So my offer is always, I have off-market properties that you don't have access to. I have proprietary information. So this is powerful. When would you like to see this?
Yeah.
And it was an easy offer to make. I just trained on it and kept training how I made the offer, the pitch, the voice. On the airplane, I was talking to myself. The person next to me probably thought I was insane.
You and I went to lunch one day. You made that offer to the waitress, if you remember that.
Yes.
Rancho Bernardo Inn, man.
That's correct.
You're like, hey, you thinking about buying or selling real estate in the next 3 to 6 months? Oh, here we go. There goes John. So making offers to people of things they otherwise can't find on their own.
Yes.
Giving them value.
Because most agents don't understand you have to make a compelling offer to get someone to say yes.
Yeah.
You have to add value first. Give them something to say yes to. That was the first one, and that's free. The second one was the callback script that Craig has designed and honed over 40 years now was critical because now when I speak to a prospect, I have a system to speak to them, timing, motivation.
Yeah.
Easy.
So for our listeners, you're hearing about what we call the universal callback script, but the universal callback script is a layout of a 3-step plan of how to take a prospect and turn them into a face-to-face appointment. The critical questions to ask to make sure they're ready, they're willing, and they're able to meet with you. And then of course the offer or the close.
Yes.
The reason they should, come meet with you over meeting with any other real estate agent. And get their ass off of the couch, looking at Zillow and coming to your office to meet face-to-face with you. And if you guys don't have a proven system to call back leads, a script that you can go through, you can master and understand the mechanics behind it, and you're getting prospects to just show up at your open houses or getting people to call you off your sign, and you don't know what to do and where you're leading them, you're missing massive amounts of opportunity. Because John, you and I, we have a proven way of talking to leads and converting them into face-to-face appointments. And I know for you and I, some of our best lead sources are still just sign calls or even digital sign calls, which are free. We take a listing, put a sign up, and bam. And you've taught me some great marketing techniques that, just the Zillow technique that you taught me, my number one buyer closing source this year. But those leads are only good if you know what to say and how to convert them into a face-to-face appointment.
That's 100%. And so that was the second nugget.
Yeah.
And that's exceptionally powerful. And the third one is taking advantage of free places to advertise. I went to Facebook and I would just post stories of sales, and they weren't even all mine. I would take in my brokerage at the time. Hey, what happened? Tell me the story.
Yeah.
And I would just post stories, and all of a sudden, I started getting people responding. Yeah. All this was free.
Yeah. Posting stories and making offers in the stories, right?
That's it. Yeah. Always making
offers. Yeah. So now, and now, you and I are looked up as leaders in the industry, especially when it comes, to the people who know us through the Craig Proctor systems. And I get asked all the time some free places to run ads. I know you said Facebook. I know that Facebook Marketplace, our good friend Sarah Reynolds,
Yes.
#1 woman ran and led team in the country, talked about Facebook Marketplace today, how she's crushing it there.
We use that as well. Very effective.
Do you guys use any other places, or do you have any other places that you run free advertisements that our listeners could go and run some property ads on?
So Craigslist, we still
Craigslist,
use,
yeah.
and we still get leads from it.
Great.
Because we know how to write the right ad copy because Craig has the templates.
Very important. Very important. You got to know how to write good ad
Yes.
copy to get people to pick up the phone and call you. So,
And all you do is copy what Craig has.
Yeah.
So Facebook Marketplace is very good for us as well. Same thing, the ad copy. We actually have 36 places that we run the ads on.
Wow.
My marketing team does it now, so I don't know what they all are.
Yep.
But YouTube is another place
Yeah.
where you can run property ads.
Gotcha.
That's free. You just upload the video and you talk about what it offers. There's a ton of different places. Pinterest, you can put ads. There's a lot of them. So, and it's free.
awesome. And you guys run mainly a lot of property ads right there, correct?
Yes, lots of property ads.
So for all of our listeners out there, you're hearing, John's talking about you got to make offers, got to know how, when you make offers and get people to call you, how to convert those prospects into face-to-face appointments. And you got to run ads. And there's a lot of free places out there. For those of you who are listening, you're probably just trying to scribble this down maybe in your car, or you're doing a run and listening to this on your phone. If you guys want our free report on the places to run free ads and how to actually format, just like John and I do, how to format your property listings to get buyers to call you, go ahead and just shoot us a message or follow the link in the description area of this cast. We'll go ahead and get that to you, because I know for you and I, man, that made a massive, massive difference for us.
So most agents who have little money have a lot of time. So when you have time, eventually there's a trade there.
Yeah.
You have no time, but you have more money.
Yeah.
So when you have no money, but you have a lot of time, this posting is really easy and it's free. So the return on it is just the time that you put in. It's astronomically high.
Well, you're always going to put in one of two things. I always tell people, you're going to put in some sweat equity, or you're going to put in some check equity. It's one of the two, but you absolutely have to get equity inside of your business every single day. So,
Indeed.
So let me ask you, how much commission did you make the first year? No, and when you sold 7 houses, what'd that equal?
I think we came it right at like 80,000.
80,000?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you this. You're very involved in a charitable organization, and I'm going to talk to you about that here in just a moment. But let's say over the last 2 years, 3 years, how much have you actually donated? Because I know you're a huge giver.
Let's see. It's a good question. I know we're in 100,000. I don't know the exact number because we donate a portion of all.
So
the
6
proceeds.
figures. We'll say 6 figures right now, because I know that number's over 100,000. But I wanted our listeners to take in. It was 8 years ago, 2011, your first year. Yeah, it's 2019. In 8 years, John has gone from barely squeaking $80,000 out to now donating hundreds of thousands of dollars to your charitable organization. And that's how fast your life can change when you stand on the shoulders of giants.
Yes.
And so, John, tell all of our listeners about the charitable organization your company is involved with.
We love the Travis Mannion Foundation. It was founded by the sister of a fallen Marine who I went to the Naval Academy with, knew personally. And it was passed away in 2007. He was killed
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
killed overseas in the Operation Iraqi Freedom, OEF. So this organization supports the spouses of fallen veterans who passed away on active duty. So it really takes care of the spouse and the family, because that's a hollow point now. It's gone. It's an emptiness in that family's life. So it's really important to take care of them, because their spouse made the ultimate sacrifice, and now we want to make sure they're supported and taken care of, that they remember the hero and the legacy that he or she left. So we love the organization, and I have many of my friends who actually work in it. So we're huge believers that it takes care of people and it helps and that it fills a need.
So for those of you listening, I mean, you go from 80,000 now giving hundreds of thousands of dollars away. You're helping. How many team members do you have now on your team?
We're at 65 right now.
65. How many of those are sales agents?
40 sales agents.
40 sales agents. to go from making $80,000 to now having 40 sales agents working under your team, helping them make hundreds of thousands of dollars and affecting so many lives, man, what a huge blessing you are to this world, to so many different families. And once again, we love and appreciate our veterans, and thank you so much for your service and your family service, because that's a family dedication. Absolutely. So, John, I really, really appreciate you taking the time today to come on to share more about your story, give those 3 nuggets away, which, for all of our listeners, you got to remember, number one, you got to be able, go ahead. Number 1.
Make offers. Callback script, free places.
Yep. Make offers, callback script, free places. And once again, we're going to have a free download for everyone where you can get where to write those, or where to post those ads, how to write some copy to get buyers to call you. And for all of you listening, standing on the shoulder of giants, John, all of John's information is going to be down below. You can follow him. You got an Instagram and Facebook account, YouTube and stuff like that, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. And it's all good for our listeners to jump on there and follow you, right?
Absolutely.
You got giving away good nuggets. I'm always loving to watch what John's posting out there, because I like to just copy what he does, man, and get it out, get it working for me. John, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today. And thank you for all our listeners. Be back here soon, as we will be interviewing again another 7-figure real estate agent on the Craig Proctor podcast.